Here is our first quotient rule problem in a while. So let's set this up, remembering that to do the quotient rule, you're going to say low d high minus high d low all over low squared. Okay, so in that case, h prime of x equals low, put it in parentheses, you got multiple terms, d high minus, don't forget it's a minus, high d low all over low squared. Alright, so since you do not have 3 of the 2x plus 3's, you only have 1, 2, you cannot reduce using that. So what we're going to do instead is distribute everything in the top and get that to the simplest form possible. So next step, distribute the 2x, you get 4x squared plus 6x minus 2x squared. Always write your denominator in, because otherwise you might forget to add it at the end, and that's going to cause you a problem. So let's see what we have. So it looks to me like we are left with, in the numerator, a 2x squared minus 6x. And then in the denominator, I have 2x plus 3, the quantity squared. Okay, so what I probably would do in the numerator is factor out a 2x. And that would get me x minus 3. That's in factored form, so that's the best way to handle this problem, because then if you need to find the critical value or evaluate it, it is the easiest to do it if it looks like this. So let's go on to question number 6, which is another quotient. Okay, here's our next problem. So in order to get g prime of x, and let's change our color. Okay, so g prime of x equals low x squared plus 1 to the 4th d high, so that's going to be 3x squared minus high, which is x cubed. Now carefully, d low, it's going to be 4 times x squared plus 1 to the 3rd times 2x, because we have to do the chain rule, all over x squared plus 1 to the 8th. Alright, so now, this time, I do see that I have 3 of these. But before I really do anything with it, let's clean this up a little bit. Okay, so g prime of x, if I clean things up, I'm going to bring the 3x squared to the front, and I still have my x squared plus 1 to the 4th minus. Okay, so now I have 4 times 2x times x cubed, so that's going to be 8x to the 4th. So this is minus 8x to the 4th, and then that was multiplied by x squared plus 1, and this time the power is to the 3rd. And then I also have the x squared plus 1 to the 8th, because 4 was doubled. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, and in the numerator and the denominator, the highest power that I can factor out is x squared plus 1 to the 3rd. So I'm going to do it like this, just for completion, so you can understand how this gets done. This is the safest way to do it, because if you do this, you're not going to cancel something out and not know why you were able to do that. Okay, so now if I factor out the x squared plus 1 cubed, I am left with a 3x squared times the x squared plus 1 as a single, minus 8x to the 4th, all over x squared plus 1 to the 5th, because 5 and 3 is 8. Alright, now, this first leading fraction, this is equivalent to a 1. So both of those are going to cancel. Okay, I'm going to go on the next page and we'll finish doing this because I want to factor out one thing. So let's see if they'll let me just cut it out. So I'd like to cut this out. And I'm going to go to the next page and we'll put it there. Okay, so let's see if I can move this up. There we go. Okay, so here's my piece. Let me just get this a little centered. Alright, so let me erase what I have up here. We don't really need that, that's confusing. Okay, that's better. Alright, so now, this was g prime of x. I'm just going to indicate that here. Alright, so look at your numerator only. And I'm seeing that I have an x squared in common. So I'm going to say g prime of x equals, so I'm going to take out an x squared, and then I'm going to do greatest common factor factoring again. So I'm going to have a 3 times x squared plus 1, and then minus 8x squared all over x squared plus 1 to the 5th. Okay, so can I do more stuff with it? So let me just change my color and we'll do this over to the side. So looking at the numerator only, I'm going to have this be my little workbox. I get 3x squared plus 3 minus 8x squared. Okay, so I'm going to replace what was in the box with negative 5x. Let me change that again. Negative 5x squared plus 3. So let's change back to our other color, and now let's see what we get. So I still have the x squared out front. Now inside I'm going to have a negative 5x squared plus 3 all over x squared plus 1 to the 5th. Okay, I'm just going to check my signs and then we'll conclude this one. Okay, so I've checked, everything has checked out. The only thing that you could do if you really wanted to is you can bring this negative right here out to the front and then change that other operation to a negative. But you don't really need to, so let's let that be because this is a perfectly fine answer. And I like this answer this way because it's in factored form. So again, if I plug something in, it is much easier to handle it when it's in this form than in a previous form. So that's the sixth problem. Let's go on to problem 7. Okay, here's another quotient rule. So let's see. Do I want to, can I factor anything here before I do my work? So I really can't because I'm going to have x minus 9, not x minus 3 up top. So no. Always think, can I make this a simpler expression before I start taking the derivative? And I really can't. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So f prime of x equals low d high 2x minus 9, put that in parentheses, minus high d low, which is just 1, but I'm going to put it just for completion, all over x minus 3 squared. Okay, so let's look at that, and what I'm thinking is I am going to clean up the numerator and bring the denominator along and see what happens. So if I FOIL the top, I get 2x squared minus 6x minus 9x plus 27. Now I'm going to distribute that negative. Negative x squared, negative of a negative 9 is a positive 9x, all over x minus 3 squared. Okay, let me change colors and we'll do some canceling out. So it looks to me like the negative 9x and the positive 9x are opposite signs, so they're going to cancel. And I'm seeing I can combine the 2x squared, so this, with the negative x squared, and then I'll have a negative 6x and a positive 27. So let's do that on the next line. Okay, so I have f prime of x equals, so I said 2x squared minus x squared gives me plain old x squared minus 6x plus 27, and I'm thinking quick, is that factorable? And no, it's not really. So I have this as my final answer. So that's your best form right there. And we'll go on to number 7 on the next page. Oops, sorry, I should have said number 8 on the next page. Okay, so here's our last quotient problem. So for quotient, we're going to look at it and see if there's anything I can do in terms of factoring, and the answer is no. Okay, so I'm going to say that g prime of x equals low d high, so put this in parentheses since it has more than one term, and that's going to be 4x minus 5 minus high, so I have 2x squared minus 5x. D low is just 3 all over 3x plus 4. Alright, so I only have one 3x plus 4 in the denominator and one in the numerator, so I can't do anything to cancel or factor out. So I'm going to just focus, and this is squared. So I'm going to focus on my numerator, and I'm going to FOIL and then combine like terms. So foiling, I have 12x squared plus 16x minus 15x minus 20, and I'm going to distribute and multiply. So that's minus 6x squared minus a minus 5x is plus 5x times 3, makes that a plus 15x all over 3x plus 4 squared. I'm changing to red again. I see that the negative 15x and the positive 15x will cancel. I see that the 12x squared and the negative 6x squared will be combined. Nothing else will combine. So let me change back to my other color, and let's clean this up. So I end up getting, let's see, so I have 12x squared minus 6x squared gives me 6x squared plus 16x minus 20 all over 3x plus 4 squared. Okay, so you can leave it like that, or if you wanted to, this probably wouldn't even be worth it, but you could factor out the 2, right, because that's the greatest common factor between the three terms. That would give me 3x squared plus 8x minus 10. Is that factorable? Is anything factor what multiplies to negative 30 and adds to 8? And the answer is nothing. So we are done. So I am thinking either form would be acceptable. I believe I have the first form on the answer sheet. So that takes care of 8. So we're going to stop this video, and I'll do the other problems on subsequent videos.